Forget everything you've heard about the Winchester Mystery House being just a quirky tourist trap. This wasn't just eccentric design. It was a desperate structural defense system built by a woman under supernatural siege. We are stripping away the ghost stories to reveal how Sarah Winchester weaponized Victorian carpentry to trap the vengeful spirits she believed were hunting her. Welcome to the Conjuring Files, where we open the vaults of history to separate myth from truth. In this new file, we step into America's most haunted mansion. We aren't here to chase ghosts, but to confront a mind unraveling in real time. To understand the house, we must understand the money that built it. The foundation of this labyrinth was built on blood money. Sarah Pardee Winchester was the widow of William Wirt Winchester, heir to the Winchester repeating arms empire. Their primary product, the gun that won the West, was a source of infinite wealth, and to Sarah, infinite guilt. Upon her husband's death in 1881, she inherited a curse. The tragedy began long before the hammers started ringing. In 1866, Sarah lost her only child, Annie. Then came the deaths of her husband and mother in rapid succession. Legend says a medium told her she was haunted by every soul taken by a Winchester rifle. To appease them, she had to move west and build, and never stop. The numbers are staggering: 160 rooms, 47 fireplaces, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, including one that opens into a blank wall, a staircase that climbs 13 steps, then stops at a ceiling. Hallways that loop back on themselves, windows in floors, doors in ceilings. For 38 years, construction never stopped. Carpenters worked 24/7. Hammers rang through the night, a rhythmic shield against the silent dead. And Sarah Winchester? She slept in a different room every evening, never twice in the same place. She was a ghost in her own home. Why? Because she believed the ghosts of every person killed by a Winchester rifle were coming for her. And she built a maze to lose them. She was an architectural pioneer, installing elevators and central heating long before they were standard. But her genius was tethered to her fear. She purposefully designed bathrooms that didn't work and doors that dropped 15 feet into the garden. Every turn was a tactical decision. The real purpose was distraction. A spirit following her would open a door only to find air or follow a hallway to a dead end. Every dead end was a trap. Was this madness or method? Was she a victim of grief or an architect of survival? The house was her magnum opus and her prison. Even the walls had ears. Secret passages allowed her to move through the house unseen, always one step ahead of the vengeful shadows she felt. Because the real horror isn't the house. It's the mind that built it, trapped between the guilt of a fortune and the ghosts of the past. Sarah Winchester lived for decades in this self-imposed fortress, a queen of a kingdom built on sorrow and architectural anomaly. Next, we dive into the specific tragedies that broke her spirit and the blood money that gave her the power to build her obsession. The hammers have long since stopped, but the questions remain. Did she truly find peace? Or is she still lost in the maze of her own making? Thank you for joining us in the Conjuring Files. The vault remains open. We'll see you in the next installment of history's dark corners. Next, the blood money that funded her fortress and the tragedies that broke her. Sarah Lockwood Pardee married William Wirt Winchester in 1862. He was heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, makers of the gun that won the West. By 1881, she was a widow. Her infant daughter Annie had died of marasmus, and William succumbed to tuberculosis. Overnight, Sarah inherited $1,000 a day, equivalent to $30,000 today, in stock dividends. But wealth couldn't buy peace. Grief consumed her. Then came the spiritualists. In an 1884 seance, a medium told her, "You are cursed. The spirits of those killed by your husband's rifles will haunt you until you die, unless you build a house for them. Never stop building. If you do, you'll die within days." Sarah believed it. She moved to San Jose, bought an 8-room farmhouse, and began expanding. Not for luxury, for defense. Every nail, every beam was a prayer. Every dead-end hallway, a trap. She wasn't rich. She was terrified. Historians debate whether she truly believed in ghosts, or if she used the spirit mandate to justify her compulsive building. She acted as her own architect and foreman, designing intricate systems like floor-level skylights and indoor plumbing long before they were common. But the beauty was always tinged with the bizarre. But her actions speak louder. She avoided mirrors. Ghosts hide in reflections, refused to sleep in the same room twice, and kept construction noise constant, because silence invited spirits. Each night at midnight, she reportedly retreated to her séance room, communicating with the very spirits she feared, seeking instructions for the next day's madness. A bell would ring to summon them, and another at 2 a.m. to dismiss them back to the shadows. The 1906 earthquake brought the tower crashing down, trapping her in a bedroom. To Sarah, it wasn't a natural disaster. It was a warning. She sealed off the front of the house and never looked back, the scars of the earth mirrored in the wood of her home. Staircases that lead to ceilings, doors that open to nothing, easy rider steps for her arthritic knees. Every architectural mistake was a deliberate attempt to confuse the restless dead who haunted her every step. Yet, for those who lived, she was a goddess of industry. She paid triple wages, provided free housing, and kept men employed through economic depressions. The Mystery House was a massive, decades-long relief project for the families of San Jose. And then there was 13 window panes, 13 drainage holes, 13 sections in her final will. A numerical anchor in a life adrift in grief and ghost stories. Because when your fortune is built on bullets, every death echoes in your bones. And Sarah heard them all. Her house grew like a living thing, a wooden monument to the millions of lives taken by the rifles that bore her name. In September 1922, the hammers finally went silent. Sarah Winchester died at 83, leaving behind 160 rooms and a legacy as fragmented as the house itself. Was she a victim of her own mind, or the only one who truly understood the cost of her wealth? The labyrinth she built remains, a cage for the ghosts she tried to outrun, and a testament to the woman who couldn't stop building. Next, we step inside the walls. In the heart of San Jose stands a monument to grief, guilt, and a singular, decades-long obsession. This is La Nada Villa, better known as the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah Winchester didn't just build rooms, she built spirit traps. To her, the mansion was a living labyrinth designed to protect her from the vengeful ghosts of those killed by the Winchester rifle. The switchback hallway, a corridor that zigzags endlessly, was designed to confuse ghosts who travel in straight lines. In Sarah's mind, a spirit couldn't follow a path that refused to lead forward. The spiderweb motif in her stained glass? It wasn't just decoration. In Victorian occultism, spiders wove fate, and Sarah believed their webs could physically trap wandering souls. Even the number 13 was sacred. 13 bathrooms, 13 chandeliers, 13 steps. Sarah believed that 13 spirits could be safely contained in a single ritualistic space. Doors opened into walls to trap entities mid-step. Others opened to the outside air, leading to a sudden lethal drop for any intruder, living or dead. Staircases led to ceilings to break their momentum. Every architectural rule was broken to ensure that once a spirit entered a path, it could never find its way out. Windows and floors let light in. But they also served as spirit viewing ports, so Sarah could watch from above for any unseen intruders moving through her halls. And the constant sound of hammers. It wasn't renovation. It was sonic warfare, noise designed to drown out the constant whispers from the dead. For 38 years, the construction never stopped. Sarah believed that if the hammering ever ceased, the spirits would finally reach her, and her life would end. She even installed seance rooms with hidden panels and speaking tubes, conduits so spirits could communicate their architectural demands without possessing her body. One room had a floor that tilted, allegedly to disorient demons and keep them off balance. In this house, even the physics of walking were weaponized. Another had a door that only opened from the inside, a final trap. Once a ghost entered, it was caught in a room with no exit, contained forever in the wood and stone. To outsiders, it was the madness of a grieving widow. To Sarah, it was survival architecture. The house wasn't just a home, it was a fortress. Because in her mind, the house wasn't haunted. It didn't belong to the ghosts. They were its prisoners. The house was armed. But what if the mistakes, the stairs to nowhere and doors to walls, weren't all about ghosts? The truth behind the mansion's strangeness is even more fascinating. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake devastated the house. Rather than rebuild the collapsed wings, Sarah ordered her workers to simply board them up, leaving rooms frozen in time. Sarah suffered from debilitating arthritis. Many of the bizarre staircases were actually practical, designed with tiny 2-inch steps so she could move between floors with ease. The house was a marvel of Victorian technology. It featured 3 elevators, indoor plumbing, and forced air heating, comforts far ahead of their time. Sarah was an innovator, experimenting with advanced irrigation for her indoor gardens and self-draining floor systems that would baffle modern plumbers. She was an amateur architect who lacked formal training. Her mistakes were often the result of her constant desire to tear down and rebuild until the proportions felt right. Rooms were added and removed on a whim. The sound of the hammer was the sound of her creative process, a woman with infinite wealth and no one to tell her no. After the loss of her daughter and husband, construction became her companion. It was her way of filling the vast, silent void they left behind. On September 5, 1922, the hammering finally stopped. Sarah Winchester passed away in her sleep, leaving behind a 160-room labyrinth that no one could explain. Because the layout was so bizarre and unfinished, the multi-million-dollar estate was valued at a mere $5,000. To the world, it was a wreck. But where some saw a wreck, others saw a legend. Investors realized that the mystery of Sarah Winchester was a story people would pay to see. They leaned into the ghost stories, naming the seance room and highlighting the traps. The legend of the haunted widow began to eclipse the reality of the brilliant builder. Today, over 24,000 visitors a month walk these halls, still searching for the spirits Sarah was so desperate to escape. Was she truly armed against the dead, or just trying to build a world where she was never alone? The house keeps its secrets, as silent as its owner. Because in the Winchester Mystery House, every corner holds a secret and every door might lead nowhere at all.
Structural insanity or Victorian innovation. Hidden bracing for seismic safety. Fireproof vaults disguised as closets. Engineers' notes confirm. Earthquake retrofit. Innovation, not superstition.
Tour guides love to say, she didn't know what she was doing. But modern engineers see something else, genius disguised as chaos. The floating staircase? Built without central support, a feat of engineering decades ahead of its time. The multiple kitchens? Designed for earthquake safety, if one collapsed, others remained. The maze-like layout? Not just for ghosts, for fire containment. In an era before sprinklers, compartmentalization saved lives. Even the door to nowhere may have been a test of modular design. Sarah was experimenting with prefabricated rooms. And the 24/7 construction. It wasn't just spiritual, it was economic. She employed hundreds during depressions, keeping families fed. Architectural historians now argue Sarah was an uncredited pioneer, using her wealth to test seismic resilience, ventilation, and spatial psychology. The nonsense was avant-garde. But did she know this? Or was innovation born from obsession? Perhaps it was actually both, genius and obsession entwined. Because sometimes the line between madness and genius is just a matter of perspective. Next, the legacy of a haunted mind and the real ghost that still walks. Today, the Winchester Mystery House is a tourist attraction. Visitors laugh at the stairs to nowhere. They snap selfies in the seance room, but few ask, what would drive a woman to live like this? Sarah wasn't evil, she wasn't crazy, she was broken, a grieving mother, a widow drowning in guilt. A woman told her wealth was blood money, and she believed it. So she built a prison, not for ghosts, but for herself. And in the end, it worked. She died peacefully in her sleep at 82, in a room she'd never slept in before. The spirits never took her, but they never left either. Because the real ghost wasn't the rifle victims, it was her conscience. And no staircase, no door, no maze could ever outrun that. So the next time you hear a hammer in the night, don't think of a haunted house. Think of a woman who built walls to keep out the past, and found she'd locked herself inside. She didn't build a house. She built a cage. The ghosts weren't in the walls, they were in her mind. Hollywood calls it madness, history calls it grief. Like if you've ever felt haunted by your past. Subscribe for more truths behind the terror. Share with someone who knows. Some prisons have no locks, just guilt. Because the truth is always in the Conjuring Files.